panel time, folks, and I absolutely adore these moments because it means that I get to step back and just employ someone else to kind of be my my controller, my moderator. In fact, this panel is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be about the intersection of leadership, and my champion to moderate this is, of course, going to be the one and only Max Körbächer. I'm going to bring him now. Max, pleasure to have you here. But, you know, I was just saying off camera, usually in person, you intro one person at a time, you bring them in. I'm simply going to drag them all on stage, disappear myself, and let you run around the room and intro each of them and let them talk about themselves. But just a reminder, folks, if you do have any questions, Max has said he's going to keep an eye on the chat. So as the conversation goes on, if you see someone you want to jump in, drop a question there, and he will facilitate it to the team. But I'm going to disappear now. Max, the floor is yours, and I'm going to bring in your guests.
Thank you very much. And welcome to this panel discussion. I have a fantastic audience and a fantastic team to discuss the topics. So far, I've seen also in the other panels, we have always some nice amount of questions coming in. So with that, as I said, my name is Max. I'm the founder of Liquid Reply and a cloud native advocate, running a small company of like 14 people, building with our customers together different cloud native environments and solutions and different open source products. And I'm also a little bit active in the open source space as a CNCF ambassador and Linux Foundation Europe advisory board member. But more importantly are my guests, and I will give a short round of introduction, starting with Anton.
Thank you, Max. Yes, my name is Anton. I've worked as an engineer or an engineering leader for about 20 years, and had an engineering leadership related career for the last 12 of them, shipping various products from SaaS ones to B2C ones, always distributed systems, complex stuff. Currently, I work as an engineering director at Canonical, the publisher of Ubuntu, and I deal with everything related to the backend of the Snap Store and Charm Hub, if that makes, if that rings a bell to anyone. That's it about me.
Sounds fantastic. One question for you. How would you describe the challenge of leadership in one word?
Can I use two? Distributed systems.
We maybe have a dash in between.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jumping over to Grzegorz.
Hi, hello, Grzegorz Sztandera. For the last 4 years, I built from scratch DevOps Operations and Support Competence Center, including building the team. And recently, I jumped over to other area of building the products. And also, once again, I'm building the team from scratch.
Thank you very much. And also for you, one question. How would you describe the challenge of leaderships also in one word?
We'll say people.
Fine. Thank you. I will take that. James, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Bowkett. I'm the Technical Delivery Director for a UK-based hands-on tech consultancy called Open Credo. So my background is in tech. I was a Java developer for sort of 20-odd years, and so had various leadership positions, technical lead, and then which kind of brought me to my current role, which is kind of everything from kind of making the tea and doing the pre-sales all the way through to kind of making sure that stakeholders and teams are happy. And I think that it's interesting kind of being a consultant here as well, because I end up having to build and bootstrap lots of different teams with lots of different mixes of people over time as well. So hopefully I've got a mix of perspectives that I can help with.
Thank you, James. And also for you, if you can pick one challenge of modern leadership, what would it be?
I think that modern leadership, and I don't think this is very different to traditional leadership, is that it's just messy. Everywhere you look, customers is messy, tech is messy, people is messy. It's a bit of a hack, because my answer to your sum it up in one word was going to be messy, actually, as well. So.
Sounds good, and sounds like we need a cleaning service. Maybe we can find some good starting point here. Muhammad, to you.
Yes, my name is Mohammed Ahsan, and I am a software architect working at Scania at the moment in Sweden. I have a background in software engineering, as you can imagine, for about a decade now. I'm an author of 2 worldwide published books, and I am also a Google Developers Expert in Angular. So I do a lot of open source projects, a lot of content creation, courses, and I've been involved in working with a lot of teams that had included engineering leadership roles. So I've worked with a lot of teams in that regard. So yeah, that's my short, not so short introduction.
Perfect. And also to you, like, what would be your one pick for modern leadership challenges?
I think it's sort of a debate between communication and transparency, but I think they both sort of fall within together. So I think communication would be my choice.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. And then Tomasz.
It's very nice to meet you all in this panel discussion, and very nice to meet everyone on the audience. What about me? I spent almost 20 years in the engineering world. I was a Java engineer back then, working in the banking industry. Then moved to various different roles, more agile oriented, more leadership oriented. Right now, I'm a general manager of Grand Parade Poland, which is the technology hub for a bigger company, global company, William Hill, Evoke, 888. We have three names as of now. So that's about my career background. In my free time, I love public speaking. So that's why we are here, and I'm here with you guys, because I love to share the knowledge with others. And yeah, and maybe the last thing it's almost done already. I'm about to finish my book about the agile transformations in the organization. So what I've seen since those 20 years, during those 20 years, I try to describe in the book.
Fantastic, awesome. If you would like to hear more about it, you can drop him a message in the Pine platform. And also to you. What would be your one word to describe the challenges of modern leadership?
Mm-hmm. We talked about people. We talked about communication. I would describe the one word that the challenge is the relationships.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Nice. Thank you. And with that, thanks for the introduction. I would like to move a little bit over before we go deeper down into what we actually would like to discuss on this panel. I think we need to define what actually means a high-performance software engineering team, because maybe people can understand something different in that. Does any one of you have a very strong opinion or belief has a common description you see? Please feel free.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Building on my actually two-word challenge of modern leadership, which is distributed systems, I mean both the software systems and the so to say people-based systems, because a high-performing team to me is a well-performing system that can handle failures, so to say, and bad inputs, and so on and so forth. And just like a software system that we would consider resilient, this team would be resilient to whatever weather they encounter, right? Yeah, we can go into the details of this, all the layers of knowledge sharing, of properly distributed responsibilities, roles, processes clear and defined, and so on and so forth. But on the surface, this would be a team that could handle practically anything reasonably related to their area of responsibility that you throw at them.
Mm-hmm. Does any one of you would like to add something to it, Tomasz?
Yeah, I would like to add the three points that for me are critical. So the goal of the team needs to know where they are heading to, what's the ultimate goal that they would like to achieve. Then they need to collaborate together. So, this communication aspect that we discussed, the ways of working, agile, DevOps ways of working, doesn't matter which one, but it's important for the people to build relationships and collaborate together. And the third aspect is the ownership of the feeling that we are making business profitable. Because sometimes engineering teams, they are keen on implementing new technology, new tools, new practices, also new ways of working, right? But they are not so focused on the fact that they need to produce the products which earns money for the company. So those three: goal, collaboration, and the ownership.
Perfect. Thank you.
If I could add to that as well, I think there's kind of an external measure and maybe an internal measure as well. So I think the external measure is as much as you were saying, Tomasz, is are stakeholders happy? And stakeholders are happy generally if the company is making money, really, and that's the company is rolling forward and shipping great products, and they're staying online and upright for as long as possible. They've got maximum uptime. But I think there's also an internal metric as well. It's no good shipping great products if everybody is under the cosh and is absolutely crushed by deadlines and pressure and working 8 days a week and 25 hours a day. So I think there's those internal metrics of, are people smiling? Are they happy? Are they doing their best work? Do they feel that they're doing a good job? Do they feel that they're growing and they got opportunities to grow as well? So I think there's it's such a multifaceted problem. It's quite fascinating from that perspective.
No.
What we are talking about is all around the people and operation and so on. As you heard, we didn't touch even the technology that we are using, yes, because the first are the people. In my believement, if we even do not have the sufficient technology competences to deliver, it is more important to have the team that have the spirit, as Tomasz said, understands the goal, and also can see that what we are doing is not only doing because they ask us for, but we are the creators of the product. We are creators of the value inside.
I would like to pick on that in 1 second, but first, also to the audience, do we miss something? What is in your world in high-performance software engineering team? Let us know and drop it into the chat. We are happy to learn a little bit about your perspective. Greg, I would like to add to this a little bit a question towards you, because you mentioned the technology. So which impact have the emergent technologies on engineering teams and the leadership of those teams? What do you see there?
So this is important, which technology we are using and if that suits the team and the needs of the product. But as I said, I will not focus on the technology, emerging technologies and so on. I will focus more on how it is important for the leader to understand what he or she should build. Yes, to build the spirit, to build the team, to integrate the team, to have the common understanding of what we are delivering. And that's, I think, for now, with all of the diversity that we have around, all of the different perception of the different people from different ages, what are their attitude to work and so on, how to integrate it and have a boost from that, not to have problems from this diversity.
Muhammad, what do you think? Which impact do we see here also from the emerging technologies on the lead teams?
I think there are a lot of interesting sides to it. On one side, we see that the technologies are making the lives easier, but then also having a lack of those also result in teams, I would say, to the point where they get frustrated if we're not using latest technologies and we are using legacy technologies. But I think I think as a result, it's probably not the technology that it causes it, but rather the communication on what is valuable to the end users. Because you could live with existing technologies, but if the whole team has a clear idea of the impact that they're creating and that they're not, it doesn't have to be the technology that drives value or satisfaction to the team, but rather the value that is being generated and the users that have been benefited. I think that's a challenge. What I usually see, that the hype that usually gets created whenever there's a new tech and then rushing towards it, and I think it then becomes the sort of responsibility of the leadership to talk about it openly and give ideas and listen to the others and then come up with a solution that makes sense to everyone. But I think that is something that I see as a challenge quite often.
Is there something from your side which you could recommend to the audience thinking about this diversity aspect and the advancing of technologies? So what I mean is, I see frequently in very diverse teams, not in terms of gender, but also like in terms of professional background, but also of age. We see often that the more experienced folks are a little bit like hold themselves back to adopt to new technologies, while the youngsters are running behind every new technology. What would be your tip to say like, hey, this is how you can catch them back and allow somehow both worlds?
Yeah, that's an interesting challenge. One of the recent things that I also faced was facing the same thing, that some of the senior engineers were too reluctant on even using an existing library, for example, from outside and just implementing their own solution because it gives you more control. But then I think the discussions around what brings value to the customer is going to be the key, and then also having a sort of cost benefit analysis of everything. So when it comes to diverse technologies, I think what I've seen or what I've recommended to the teams as well is to see the competence that is within the team, the goals that we are trying to achieve, and then having a clear discussion with post-its on what everyone thinks is the pros and cons. So we have so many different ways of sort of putting out our thoughts. I think it becomes a bit difficult when it comes to remote work, but I think if we can get in person and then discuss them with those post-its and have everything in front, that clearly gives a understanding of, okay, this is what we are talking about, and this is clearly what could bring more value and is a potential solution.
Interesting one. Tomasz, what do you believe, or do you see that there's any impact from our all-time favorite topic of AI into the team performance and also the leadership of teams?
Yeah, our beloved topic of AI, right? As everyone is talking about it. So the question is actually how we use AI tools, right? We obviously can use tools like Copilot to help us coding and so on. So that's definitely, it has an impact on on our daily work. But at the same time, I think that this human aspect that people need to speak to people and needs to figure it out what to do in the product in order to generate the revenue and generate the money will be still there. So this part is very difficult to automate. And now, obviously, with the emerging technologies, all the youngsters, as you said, all the youngsters would like to use all the fancy tools and so on. So I observe something like impatience, right? That they would like to jump straight away to another tool. But in the end of the day, what I observe is that they are they are finishing the day or finishing the sprint with unsatisfied, because either they were not able to implement new tools because of some lack of approvals, or they tried and this tool was this AI fancy tool was promising much, but then in reality it didn't work so well. So I think that we also need to explain the youngsters that sometimes, I mean, the main goal is to have a profitable product, right? So sometimes even the old Java tech stack, for example, can be useful if it generates the revenue.
To all of you, what would be a recent strategy to handle exactly such kind of a problem? On the one hand side, to focus on the outcome of the team, because I think that's a motivational factor. If the team is successful in delivering new features, it's like giving the right we feeling and pushing forward. It can be a good driver. But on the other hand side, keep the motivation high to learn something new, try something new, but without putting the performance into danger. Feel free, Anton.
My perspective on this is that luckily in our engineering world, the modern engineering world, we have to update our software and underlying technologies and so on. I think dialing this a little bit, dialing the scale of the initial adoption of the newer things down to let's say a proof of concept or something like this helps a lot. So like if there's an emerging technology that hasn't yet been battle tested, and that's what we want to use, something that's been battle tested, we can work on a proof of concept, choose a small service in our zoo of microservices to try it out with, and so on. And then if it proves its worthiness, then we're like, okay, that looks good. Maybe we can try another service and so on, and do bit by bit. And like the worst thing I think we can do is saying, oh, okay, this new emerging technology looks very good judging by the tutorial. Let's migrate everything. So that's not how it should be. But trying things out should be an essential part of the engineering team's agenda, in my opinion.
So to summarize, you need to define within your regular process and your team capacity some space for actively working on it and not focusing on the other outcome. But learning is also, I think, a very active and very positive outcome, right?
Yes, trying things out, and actually that can be viewed as something that we're doing for our product. So not necessarily learning for the sake of learning, but learning something that our general product that the team is responsible for may benefit from. It may not as a result of learning because it's deemed not useful. But how do we know if we don't check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. James?
Yeah, I think there's a healthy dose of pragmatism that has to be applied as well. Sorry to be the party pooper, but I think as an engineering leader as well, you've got to, it's such a balancing act because everyone loves new and shiny and you want new and shiny stuff. And that's great and that's to be applauded and people should move forward, absolutely. However, you don't want, so say you've got, I don't know, you've got RabbitMQ or something in your architecture and some bright spark goes, hey, we should use Kafka. Yes, you should use Kafka, big fan, but you're going to need to kind of go, okay, let's check this out. Yeah, is it work? Yeah, it's a great piece of technology. Right, now the hard work begins where we've got to, if we are going to adopt this, we need to wholesale move over to it. Otherwise, we've got two messaging infrastructures and you can't have two. Nobody... the balance of the benefit of having people motivated and say, hey, we tried something new and shiny and I got to get that into the product. Great. But the downside of that is if you end up with loads and loads of sort of half-baked decisions and sort of half-done pieces of migration work, you're just instantly drowning in technical debt and that's really demotivating. So I think things like architecture decision records, and kind of getting people bought into the process as well. I think that's good because actually no technical decision, especially if you're changing direction, comes for free. And so you have to make sure that everybody's on board to pay the cost, which is the migration or whatever it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we elaborated a lot on the one side of the coin about the technical impacts. But when I ask you about the challenges, almost everyone point out the human factor to summarize it somehow in this way. So, Muhammad, which strategies can you recommend for a team lead to build and maintain a strong engineering culture?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I think one of the things that I usually see is, as we started talking about it, someone mentioned about the deadlines and the constant rush of delivering things. I think that is something that is usually the case or the cause of frustration in engineering teams. And that usually comes with, again, it falls within a lot of buckets, but one of them is communication, being open. When you see that you can't really deliver this in X amount of time. So I think that's one of the keys. When you're open, you can discuss within your engineering teams. And one of the things that has worked for me very well is having this sort of check-in with each individual on having their own sort of path that they want to go within the team, and they can forecast 3 months, 6 months, whatever that is, and let them drive their whole journey as they're growing. And they can be realistic, just like Google does their OKRs, that we don't really have to achieve them, but it's good that we at least go with an aim. And I think that usually drives the innovation. And that when you have that, then you usually keep in mind that, okay, I'm working on these features, but I also have these goals for my technical growth as well. And then, as Anton mentioned, there could be some sort of proof of concepts. There could be some hackathons in which you can try out different things. But I think it's really essential for everyone to be open about it. And when we talk about diversity, having architecture decision records, as mentioned, but then also having sort of a tech radar that can bring a bit of diversity within the organization, so people can try out things that they really like, as long as it doesn't go far beyond what the architecture doesn't allow, or the practices that we shouldn't be following. So I think it's a combination of several engineering practices, including this technical growth that each individual is driving, having an architecture decision record plus the tech radar, and then the possibility to be open to sort of manage this with your TL or your manager on how you're growing as an individual alongside shipping products.
Very interesting. Greg, what would be your take on to say, like, hey, how we can build and maintain a strong engineering culture?
I think it differs from the point where the team is. Yes, based, for example, on the SDLC software development lifecycle, it will be different for the team that is creating the product from the very beginning. The first, second year will be something fresh for them, but after that, it will start becoming more and more boring. Yes, it will be the same tasks repeated all of the time, and the case is how to stay with the same attitude of the team. Yes, how to grow the competences, and what was said, some proof of concept, some going out of the box, trying different technologies, or trying to do something, I will say, not exactly how we should do it in this technology, but maybe find some other perspective for that. It is important because it will drive people to learn. It will drive people to find out new opportunities, and it will build the final value of the product. So it depends on the level of the team and the majority of the product that we have.
That's a very interesting part, because I think what we see nowadays is like that a lot of people checking their CVs have like 1.5 to 2 years on the CV before they rotate the company, right? Which is kind of interesting, because we usually say someone needs around 6 months until they are fully into company, fully into product. So if someone after then an additional 1 year, 1.5 years leave again, what does it tell us? So I often find out that talking with these people who frequently go through the companies, they exactly are on the point which you described. They're bought out, right? They have understand how the product work, what they're working on, what is the benefit of the product. And when they reach this point of like, oh, I understand which value do we generate, but I have the feeling I don't add any more too much value to it, even though it's incredible value what they do, like keep the stuff alive, right? If you have a platform with millions of users, or it's critical for some parts, or whatsoever. But nevertheless, when people get the feeling they're bought out with the topic they're working on and topped it, then they're searching for something new, even if they're happy with the company, even if they're happy with the team, but they just strive for something relevant. From one of you, is there anything where you will say like, oh, I have some good experience, some good strategy to overcome this?
Yeah, I would love to add that actually this what you mentioned is a good segue to the hiring strategy, because for me it's all about starts with the hiring strategy. Because when I build a effective engineering team, first things first, I need people who are curious, because they will, if they are curious, they will be searching for new solutions, new features, new opportunities to develop our product. Then I need the people who are willing to learn. So they are curious, but not just curious to implement new technology and that's it, to try out, but to deeply learn about this technology. So curiosity and learning. And the third bit is about relationships again, right? So this human aspect, how to work together, because we don't have people who work just by themselves. We have teams, and if you are talking about teams, we need to hire team players who are willing to exchange the knowledge and produce this overall outcome. Mm-hmm. So the hiring strategy for me is about those three pillars.
Mm-hmm. Any other take, Anton?
I think it begins with hiring as well, but I think also the day-to-day work for people matters as well. So if you've read the book Drive by Daniel Pink as well, so he says that motivation comes from autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and that really resonated with me. So autonomy, treat everyone like a grown-up. My head of people has a great phrase, and she says, trust and track rather than command and control, which I think is a really nice way to kind of like, hey, yeah, this is the way I want to hire grown-ups, and I want to treat them like grown-ups. Yeah. And mastery, if I take you back to the Agile Manifesto, as it says, continuous attention to technical excellence improves agility. And I think that fostering that culture of learning and that or culture of curiosity, get people to conferences like this one, right? Meetups, lunchtime sessions, hackathons, mob programming, if you can do that, or pair programming, right? So, and maybe even align some of the business incentives around that as well, as to how, you'll have your career ladder, but perhaps there is somewhere where you need some more Kubernetes knowledge or something like that, actually kind of rewarding people for getting those qualifications. And then finally, kind of purpose, doing something that matters. I think we've all probably had some time in our career where, you did a piece of work and it never got into production. That just sucks for a programmer. It really does, So actually doing something that matters, that they can, and it's a little bit easier for a consultancy because people are paying a day rate for my folks. So it has to matter, otherwise they're wasting their company's money. And they can point to an invoice at the end of the month that they wasted. But actually giving them something that matters, that they can see, that they can be proud of, that actually makes a difference as well. And I think that probably comes down to your prioritization as well. You say, well, actually, I've got to do this first because it's most important to my business. The people doing that are therefore doing the work most important to my business or to my value stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I may,
so there's
if I may, just a little bit. I actually fully agree with James, and I think there's a way people kind of simplify their assessment whether they should look for a new job or still stay. And I think it's a famous one, like learning and earning, right? So if it's both, it's the best company ever. If it's one of them, it's fine, they'll stay. If it's none of them, well, why stay? So considering that perspective as well, I think is important to keep people at your company.
Absolutely. And all of your answers suits very well to the question which we got from the audience, how to increase the retention of engineers. Giving also two very concrete examples where on the one hand side, an engineer is looking into working with AI and looking for a project. And because the company doesn't have the engineer is talking to other companies to maybe satisfy his needs. While the other example is practically a similar thing, just with salary, asking for a higher salary, 10% increase. The best thing you can do is 5% increase. If that person would apply somewhere else, it would definitely get at least this 10% salary increase. I think you provided already some perfect answers to it, and I like the addition from you, Anton, saying like if the company can be provide the learning and the actual right payment for you, it's a good way. It's a good environment, right? If you lose one of both, maybe you can consider it. I think I would also answer to this question a little bit that you should not forget that in some perspective, our engineering market is a little bit toxic, I would say, right? Especially if you see the payment differences between US and Europe, for example. European engineer earns comparable to all the countries we are living in an extreme high amount of money, usually double than what every else in the country is earning in an average. If you go to US, you can earn there again the double of that money, right? So it's attracting people from all around the world. And I think that in some way breaks also the strategies how and where we can engage with engineers and keep them motivated, because at some point it always gets really this feeling and taste of like money. With that, looking into the times, we're running very, very good. Is there any practical advice you can give to the audience on building, on top of all what you have said, a team which really delivers a high performance, but also maybe delivers a high satisfaction?
Yeah, I have, again, three aspects. I like those triangles. The first one for excelling, this setting up the team is about the resilience. So how the team is resilient in front of the challenges, and I'm talking not only about like production issues, which are the main challenges in the team from the engineering perspective, but also how they are resilient in terms of organizational changes. For example, that they need to switch a place in the organizational structure, or they need to reshuffle the people. If they are resilient or not, if they are in this mood of complaining that everything outside of team is bad, or if they are sort of elastic to adjust the change. So that's one. The other one is psychological safety. So everyone, I guess, is talking about psychological safety after COVID, because one of the reasons is because we work remotely and it's more tougher to provide this psychological safety in the environment. And what the third one, which helps, is being vulnerable as a leaders. So if we are vulnerable and show that, hey, I have some weaknesses and that's okay because I'm a human being, the other people will mimic this habit and will not be stressed about their challenges that they have, right? So it's for me, it's all about being a human being to the others.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Thank you. Looking into the audience, we have one other question about: is it very difficult to measure if a team is profitable when the team do not do direct sales? What substitute PKIs would you recommend to gauge on this metric?
Mm-hmm. I think I can take or start answering this one. It's all about the metrics that we have, right? So if we define our metrics in the development team just to track our process, we will not figure it out if the product is profitable or not. But if we, instead of tracking, or not instead, but on top of tracking, like cycle time, lead time, and so on, track also the performance of our product, the availability time, the request or the new users per week, per day, we may connect those with the financial aspects. Obviously, it is not in our hand, the financial aspects, but we can speak with the finance team or the business team and then connect the metrics that are all about our users and the fees they pay into our system.
Oh. Well, I think also on the economical side, there's one very simple thing in it, right? If you have a digital product and your company runs it every month, in the end on at least a black zero or something positive numbers, it's still profitable enough to keep your business running. Yeah. But if it goes below that, it's a problem. Please, Anton.
If I may add a little bit, I think if we're talking about a specific engineering team within a tech department being considered profitable, I think that doesn't make a lot of sense to go down on that level. Not in all cases, anyway. In some cases, it may, because this is the team building a very specific product, and they need to care about the profitability of that specific product and so on. That actually taps into a rather big discussion, like whether a tech department or tech teams in general should be considered cost centers or profit centers, right? So, and when they are considered cost centers, then there is there's less opportunity to grow it and so on and so forth. There are many more hurdles. Talking to the to the finance department and so on and so forth. Usually, if they're considered profit centers, meaning they're viewed through the lens of, okay, how much does the product that this team builds earn? Then it's much easier to grow it, right? Because the product is more successful, the team can be bigger, or we specifically invest in this team because the product will be then, we expect the product to become successful because of that, because there's a roadmap to deliver and so on and so forth. So it may be challenging for some teams to become to be viewed as profit centers, but I would generally recommend to do the best you can for them to be viewed as profit centers, because that kind of expands the spectrum of possibilities.
Perfect. So we're running out of time.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add one more thing to it. So I think the only correct metric for productivity is the number of lines of code. Kidding, of course, kidding. One thing quickly I want to. No, I think one of the things that could be looked into is the quality of as a metric, as in how many incidents are there, and how many innovative initiatives have been taken. So maybe those two can be a good one.
All right. We're running out of time, so we make a little closing round. I have 2 questions. Every one of you have around about 20 to 30 seconds to answer it, to close and make your final closing statement. Either you can answer, what are you taking with you from this panel discussion, or what would you like to give to the audience as a recommendation, or what they should take away? I will start how I started in the beginning, and going with Anton.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I want to probably leave the audience with one statement. As with high-performing software, to get a high-performing team, especially in the various and diverse environment that we are in currently, do spend time designing it. As you don't build software without thinking of a design, you shouldn't do that with teams either if you want them to perform on a high level. That would be it for me. Thank you.
Greg.
Yes, I believe that as the team is building the application, the leader is building the team, and this is really important. I will take that all of us believe that people are very important in case of delivering the value at the end of our development. And I want to refer to the question about the salary raise. Yes, I had an engineer in my team that was able easily to have at least 50% more money from different company, even in the same building. But he was so happy to work with the people, and it was not going to work, more meeting with the friends. So having the team high motivated can also lead these people to appreciate what they have, appreciate the team that they have, and the development that they can gain within the team.
Mm-hmm. James, what is your takeaway or your giveaway?
I've used a bit of both, actually. So it's. I think we've all focused on the people part, and I think that's really necessary. I think that technology problems can usually be traced back to a people problem somewhere along the lines. So I think investing in your people and investing in time with your people and maybe even surveying those people and kind of understanding kind of what's driving them, what's motivating them, and what's demotivating them. Annual surveys and things can help. But I think that it's a much more inexact science, and so many of us have got a technical background. Give us a command line any day over kind of people. It's a lot easier to deal with a command line and make that do what you want and get the best out of it. So I think that it's something that as engineering leaders, you need to constantly invest in yourself so that you can invest in your team and be a servant leader. And it's tricky. So I'm glad people have come to the panel discussion because they're in the right place, because they're obviously on that journey.
Well, Matt.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would love for people to do, especially leaders, is to model behavior, whatever they want to inculcate in the culture or in the teams. For example, if I want everyone to participate in the hackathon, I will sit between them and participate in the hackathon myself. And similarly, other values as well. So I would love to share that. Yeah.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Tomasz.
For me, it's this intersection world, because when I imagine intersection is engineering and the leadership, and in front of the intersection there is a human being. So this is we all talked about it, right? That we are not machines; we are human beings that love to work with each other, they love to connect to each other. So I think that's the takeaway for me, and I hope that for the audience as well, to pay attention to our colleagues and to build relationships with them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to you all. Also to the audience, it was a fantastic round. I hope you could take away something with you. And if you have still open questions, reach out to the speakers and panelists. I think you can reach them to Pine or any other social media platform. And with that, I wish you a very nice afternoon. Enjoy your lunch. It's lunch break. I got informed. I have no idea how long it is, but you will find it in your program. And then have a great rest of the day. Stay safe. See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.